It's really important. We're going to probably have to go through that a lot. The other thing that's really important, and this is where I started the whole series in episode 3a, okay, he sent me. I'll go back to that. It's really important. Because this is the verb that's used in the LXX of Exodus 3:14. Okay. Whoops. Gotta do the next verse. 42. Right here. Apostellw. Take a look at that in the bottom. Okay. This, unlike the other, this is the 5th time he's used the word sent in the chapter. Alright? The other 4 times that he used it, and I cover this extensively in the Word doc, so you might want to look at it. The other 4 times he used apostellw. Other 4 times he used sent. It was Greek for pempo, which means to send on an errand. But the difference here is that this has the connotation of the rank of the person sent. See, a person sent with a commission. Alright? An embassy. And that's actually the origin of the word. See, apo means out from, stello, sending. The apostellw, it signifies that the person who is sent has powers of independent action. It's like sending an ambassador. An ambassador has certain initiatives that he is allowed to make of his own if he wants. And usually an ambassador won't do that now, but especially in the 19th century, ambassadors had quite a wide range of independent power they could undertake. All right, and that they don't quite use it that way anymore. But that's the inherent meaning. An ambassador in the Greek city-states, you gave the ambassador power, you gave him general guidelines, and then whatever he enacted, you bound yourself to. You see how important this is? I didn't come of my own initiative, but he sent me. Oh, I hate it when that happens. Wait a minute. He's not saying he couldn't do it. He's saying he won't do it. He's only going to stay within his 5-paragraph field order. He's only going to stay within his diplomatic guidelines that he was given by Father, even though he doesn't have to. It's really important. Apostellw is a complete change versus the other verbs he uses. The 5th time he uses the word sent, he switches to the high emissary verb apostellw. Now, there's another reason why this is so important, and I cover it in the Word doc at length. In the book of Exodus, apostellw is used 4 times in sets of 4. The last 2 sets of 4 overlap. Okay, and I explain that in the Word doc. If you had the memorized text and it had a pattern of words, you would eventually get to notice that pattern. And the sets of 4 apostellws that are used, the first 4 are used by God, Him talking. The second 4 are used with reference to Moses' role due to God talking. The third set of 4 are split between the kind of apostellw Pharaoh was trying to do and what God did as apostellw to Pharaoh as a result of Pharaoh's negativity. It's very witty. Alright? And it counts as 4 sets of 4 because it's got two-sided usage. So this is really sophisticated, and it's the only place in the Bible where this kind of repetition occurs. So the Jews who had to memorize the text orally would have just jumped right up and fallen over themselves when he switched this verb. We don't have, or I can't think of, a Shakespearean play or some other fancy literature in our stuff that's sophisticated like this where I could make a parallel. Alright, it's really important. Okay? And this switch to apostellw changes the entire dialogue at this point forward. Alright? So, in the left-hand side of the equation, alright, he is still outflanking them. And he really basically has just done that. Because in using this word, he's recalling Exodus. Exodus is unique in its usage in the LXX of apostellw. And he saves it for the 5th time. The 5th time is the second set of 4 apostellos when it's talking about the witness of Moses being sent by God. The first 4, God is using the verb. The second 4 is a testimony of Moses being sent by God. You got that? I mean, it's really, you're just going to have to look at the word doc because it's really hard to explain it. All right? So when he's saying, he sent me, that's totally lost in translation. You don't know about the 4 sets of 4. How can you? It's only the 5th time it's even in the chapter. All right? So at this point, what he's doing is he's outflanked them because he's now solidly on Exodus 3:14. They've been trying to hide that by raising the Abraham descendant garbage. Okay? They're going back to father because they don't know what else to do. They can't refute what he's saying here. He's using the I am. You know, he really either is or they should stone him immediately. But the people aren't stoning him immediately because they can't prove he's not the I am. And in fact, he's done all these miracles. They're really in a deep doo-doo rhetorically. So they just fall back on their old Abraham thing. And then he outflanks him. He's aggressive now. No, your dad is the devil. And I know everything Abraham did, everything Abraham didn't do. All right? You're doing the deeds of your father, and it's not Abraham, and it's not God. And all they can do is use an ad hominem after that. We weren't born of fornication. We had one Father, God. No. If God were your father, you would love me. For from Father's purpose, I came forth. I was birthed. I have arrived, heko, from God, meaning I existed, pre-existed. All right, this is his own will as God to follow through on this. And I have not even, this is humanity now, erchomai, on my own initiative. In other words, I'm not doing this simply because I want to, but because he apostellowed me. So why don't you understand what I'm saying? It's because you can't hear my word. My word. I'm God. It's my word. He has just outflanked them, and at this point we are now right here. Notice how we're coming full circle? They want to throw stones at him, but he's the rock of their salvation. Because God is his lamp in his humanity, he knows the doctrine, he's just outflanked them. He can leap over a wall, and he's just leapt over the wall of their objections because he's calling up apostellw here, which is solidly on the book of Exodus. It's unique in its usage of the verb. And his way is blameless. That's calling back to verses 20 through 24. See? He's reiterating that he's God. He's reiterating his way is blameless. He's reiterating that his word is the word. And he's reiterating that he's the shield. The guy they want to stone is the cornerstone. And he just leapt over the wall of their objections. For who is God but the Lord? Yeah, that's him. Who is a rock except God, who girds me with strength and makes my way blameless? He's claiming all of that. Okay? Hi, I'm God. Because I speak the truth, you don't believe me. Why don't you understand? Because you can't hear my word. See? The word of the Lord is my word. I'm God. You are of your father the devil, and you want to do the desires of your father. And now, having said that he knew everything Abraham didn't do, which means he knew everything Abraham ever did do, now he's saying he knows everything that the devil ever did, because he says the devil was a murderer from the beginning. You realize that means he has to know every single thought of the devil. He's making another claim of omniscience. He's claiming he's God. He's claiming about stuff that's going on in Satan's head. He's claiming personal knowledge of how they think and how Satan thinks, and he's saying they're the same. And he's talking back to Psalm 18:11, where the darkness is the subject of the verb, not the object. And he's talking back to verse 28, trying to remind them that he's the light and they're the darkness. And now, in case they didn't catch on, because I speak the truth, you don't believe me. Which of you convicts me of sin? See, he's going back over the material. Now he's back here. He who is of God hears the words of God. In other words, if you heard my word because I'm God, you're hearing the words of God. But you're not of God, so you're not hearing my words because I am God and these are my words. Now you see why the Jews reply in kind? Do we not rightly say that you are a Samaritan and have a demon? You know, because he really either is God or he's crazy. All right? So, his testimony is all this here. And they're his enemies, still practicing Psalm 18:11 on him. And he has just finished outflanking them. He's just finished doing all this. And we know that because all they can do is resort to an ad hominem. See? Here's their second ad hominem. You're a Samaritan and have a demon. They can't respond to him on evidence. They just have to insult him. All right? So that proves he shattered them and they were not able to rise. They're under his feet. Remember, they fell under my feet. What did we see back in verse 9? Thick darkness under his feet. Darkness tried to make hiding places to obscure God, but his brightness shone through, and therefore they are the enemies under his feet. Okay, now at this point, we'll take a little break. But I mean, I'm recovering ground I already covered in episodes 3A through 3M, but here we're just tracing the parallel to Psalm 18. Okay, so we're back. And as we've seen, starting about here, we've covered down to this point. And in verse 38 on the left-hand side, we know that he has shattered them because all they can do is respond with a second ad hominem. First they accused him of being illegitimate, twisting the whole father thing. And now they're saying that Samaritan is a way of saying that you're a fake Jew. And not only that, they're saying he's possessed. Now, for me personally, this is a real important lesson that I got to practice. How do you deal with the jerks? Okay? You know, the trolls. They're being trolls. The purpose of a troll and the purpose of their remarks is to deflect attention from the lesson he's giving. They are performing Psalm 18:11, and they're doing everything they can to throw up roadblocks to the lesson he's giving. And the most important thing that you can do, and it depends on whether you're supposed to do it or not. In his case, he had to do it. So if the answer is yes, I got to do it, you don't let the baiting get to you. They say whatever they say, and you either answer it or you skip over it. Before he skipped over it and then just went ahead. See, he's really trying to reason with them. even though he knows it isn't going to work. And if it isn't going to work with them, the rest of the audience is going to figure it out. They are from the devil. That's why they're doing what they're doing. Okay? And throughout all of this, he keeps on finding new ways of saying he's God. In order to say that their father is the devil, and then he goes on to say everything the devil's ever thought from the beginning, he has to be God to say that. He's making a claim of omniscience. And then he's making a claim of being the truth, and that because they are not believing in him, he's God. You see? And then he's sinless, and that goes back to verses 20 through 24 on the left-hand side. If he's never sinned, he's perfect. He's making a claim of perfection. Only God is perfect. Okay? Then he does it again. Hi, I'm God. You're hearing the words of God. You are of God. You hear the words of God. But you don't hear me because you're not of God. In other words, he's God. His word is God's. They're not hearing his words, so they're not of God. They're not of him. Okay, they're refusing him because they're preferring their father, the devil, versus Father God, who he was with since eternity past. And he's God himself, and his words are God. And they're not listening to him. If they would know Father, if they knew him, he's a mirror of God. Okay, you're beginning to see the momentum that's been building up since verse 12. Okay. So, they respond because they can't respond based on Bible or evidence. They respond with a second ad hominem, calling him a fake Jew. That's what the Samaritans were considered, and possessed. Now, they're trying to get into a pissing contest. So all he does is he simply says, I do not have a demon, but I honor my Father and you dishonor me. He's getting back to the track of how, and the larger thing he's doing is he's trying to show the difference between being of God and being of the devil. They're not going to learn the lesson, but there are others in the audience who will. So he is answering them, saying that he's honoring Father in what he does, and they are dishonoring him, and since he's of the Father, they got to be of the devil themselves. But he's not directly saying that here. Notice how much more tamed down this is? I don't have a demon, but I'm honoring Father instead, and you're dishonoring me. He's not saying to them, but you're dishonoring Father. He leaves that in silence. It is so obvious that they are wrong. It is so obvious that they're acting like trolls, that he can now soften it a little bit. Okay? And now he's going to go on with the lesson. I don't seek my own glory. There is one who seeks and judges. Now at this point, and he sort of led into it already from back up here. I'm not sure where. I wrote it in the Word doc. I'm really tired now, so I can't remember where he first broke into it. But he somewhere in here, maybe it was in verse 42, he started referencing Isaiah 53, the contract specifically, in Isaiah 52, 13 and 14, and Isaiah 53, 10 through 12. All right? So now he's focusing straight on Isaiah 53. He's already led it into the dialogue. I don't seek my own glory. There is one who seeks and judges. Now, I don't think is the word seeks there? Okay. Doxa. Yeah. He is really focusing on Isaiah 53 now. Okay. Zeteo. And that's zeteo. That means to ask after, inquire, diligently seek. Okay, and krinon. Alright. Like in Exodus, which has a unique set of uses of apostellw, so also in Isaiah 53 there is a unique set of uses of doxaxo and doxa. It's used 3 times in Isaiah 53. It's used in Isaiah 52:13, Isaiah 52:14, and Isaiah 53:2. And what he's doing now is he's setting up the parallel. First he had set up the parallel that their playing the game of this. The darkness trying to put roadblocks in the way. Now he's tying in Isaiah 53:2 and Isaiah 52:14, which is all about Jewish rejection. Okay, you have to go look up those verses. When he uses the key words for glory, this is his first use of it. I think it's his first use. Okay, the first use of glory is referring to Isaiah 52:13, where Father says he's going to glorify the Son. That's why he says, one who seeks and judges. That is the content of Isaiah 52:13. And I go through this in the Word doc in much more detail. So then he makes yet another claim that he's God. Anyone who keeps, again, my word, the third time he said it, he will never see death. If you're keeping my word and you never see death, the only way that can be true is if he's God. All right? So that's bringing us back down, because he's still cycling through the psalm. He's already shattered them. Okay, so now he's on the upswing. See? They insult him. He matter-of-factly replies. And then he goes straight back to where he was going. All right? I shattered them. That's over. They're over. They're now being used in order for him to advance the lesson. He's girded me with strength for battle, obviously. He subdued them under me, those who rose against me. They're already subdued. They already lost. Okay? The enemies, that's them, turning their backs to me, and he's destroyed those who hated me. He's already done that. So since he's already done that, he's still tracking the Psalm 18, as you can see, verse by verse. But now he's woven in the parallel passage on this same topic in Isaiah 52:13 and 14, and Isaiah 53:2, because it's happening live. There are three uses of doxa in the LXX. And it's in Isaiah 52:13, Isaiah 52:14, and Isaiah 53:2. He is now focusing on that parallel to Psalm 18. Why? Because Isaiah 53 is playing live right as he talks. He's the person who's the subject of the whole chapter. Just like he's the person who's the subject of Psalm 18. So he's attaching it. Okay? He's threading it in. So when he says, anyone who keeps my word will never see death. Well, what is that? That's Isaiah 53, 52:13, 14, 15, and Isaiah 53:1. Who has believed our report? To whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? The salvation. Okay, the salvation promise. All right? And of course, you know how Isaiah 53 reads. So he's sort of summing it up here. Keeps my word. He's calling it my word now. It's the word. It's Isaiah 53. It's Isaiah 53. But he's always been God, and that's always been his word. And now he's human, and this is now alive, and you believe my word now. Third time he said that term. Okay? And they get that, baby. They jump on him for this. Look. The Jews said to him, now we know you have a demon. Abraham died, the prophets died also. But you say, if anyone keeps my word, he will never taste of death. They changed the wording. First of all, when he says never see death, all right, the word see, and I cover this in the Word doc, it's theoreo. It's not see like just normal see. It's being a spectator at the games. At the games or at the theater. Theoreo. We get the word theater from it. To be a spectator. You will never be a spectator of Thanatos. Thanatos is the Greek god of death. It's a sort of quasi-god. Okay? This is an actual personification. The Greek gods had personifications. All their gods were personifications. Well, at least some of them were. And this is the Greek god of death. All right, so when he says, you will never be a spectator of the God of death, the one who sends you to Hades. He's using a Greek cultural idiom. He's speaking in Greek to people who know Greek. They know that idiom. All right? He will never be a spectator of the God of death. All right? The Jews, again, because they have no reply, they have to twist what he says. Now we know you have a demon again. Ad hominem, Abraham died, and this is apostellw, which means that they're playing on thanatos here. Thanatos is the name for the Greek god of death. The cognate verb is apostellw, which means the soul leaving the body, and the prophets also. But you say, if anyone keeps my word, that part they quote correctly, but they add the word taste. I almost died when I saw this. The word for taste is Greek word guo. And I cover it in the Word doc, so go look it up there in connection with verse 52. There are a lot of verses in the Bible that talk about tasting of the Lord. And then they're talking also about the miracle of Cana where he turned the water into wine. That the Lord himself tastes of death for everyone. And they're turning the promise. This is really cruel, okay? They are turning the promise of Messiah on him to insult him. He didn't say taste of death. He said see, be a spectator of. So they're saying that the taste of Messiah in their mouth is no good. All right? They don't care. They're taking all the verses that talk about taste the Lord, see that he's good, and they're spitting on it. That's really what they're doing. So, see, this is what people do. When you make a comment that is, full good faith, you demonstrate the right answer and all that good stuff, no matter how good-hearted you are, and especially if you are good-hearted about it, they just spit on you. At this point, you got to walk away. But he's not done teaching the lesson yet. He is demonstrating Isaiah 52:13 and 14, the despising, and Isaiah 53:2. He's got to finish that lesson before he's going to close on them. So at this point, he's demonstrating he's girded, he's strength for battle. He's subdued them. They've turned their backs. They're really destroyed at this point because they're twisting what he said. I mean, it's in the next sentence, see? See death. And they say, taste of death. And he's talking about seeing the guy who's got the key to Hades. In other words, they're not going to go to hell. But they're talking about the soul leaving the body. Apostellw is the word for died here. All right? So they're if you don't sin, you don't see Hades. You never see death. Your body dies, but see, if you keep his word, you never see death because the word stays in your soul. Your soul doesn't die. All right, so you never see Hades because you ain't going there. You're going to heaven where he's going. And they twist that into the soul leaving the body as being the kind of death he meant. That isn't the kind of death he meant. And they change see, the personification of death, see Hades, see hell, to taste. Thus twisting all the words, all the verses in the Bible. Search on taste in the Bible that talk about Messiah. Tasting Messiah, Messiah tasting death for everyone so that we don't ever have to taste it. That's not what he said, but those verses are there, and they're trying to turn the Bible against him. Again, they don't care about the Word of God. They care about winning an argument. And they're really not winning. They've already been defeated. They've resorted to ad hominem. At that point, they've already lost. And so they keep going. They think, well, if we just say Abraham enough, everybody's going to agree with us. Surely you're not greater than our father Abraham who died. Who do you claim to be? He already said. See, look, see? Do the deeds of Abraham. This Abraham did not do. He knows everything Abraham ever did. He's already invoked the tetragrammaton twice. All right? See? I am. I am. I am. I am. Ding. That's who he is. Who are you? He's already answered the question from the beginning. That's who he is. He's the one that's the beginning. But they have to deny that he's answered them already. They have to pretend like he didn't give them an answer. You see that in YouTube comments all the time. All right? So, they do it again. They bring up Father Abraham again, trying to deflect the argument. Then they pretend like he never told them who you are, who he is. What? Are you greater than Abraham? And he knows they're going to do that. He knows they're going to do that. He's setting them up so that he can say this. He's leading them to this verse. And they're too damn dumb to know. So they cried for help, and there was none to save. But he did not answer them. See, he really did answer them. They're saying he didn't. See, look. He did not answer them. You see how this tracks to Psalm 18? Is this awesome or what? They cried for help. They cried for answers, but there was none to save. Why? Because they won't listen. Even to the Lord, but he did not answer them. He did not answer them because he already answered them. They're asking him as if he never answered them. They are reflecting verse 41 on the left-hand side. So what can he do? He goes back to the point he started to make here. See? Now he says, glorify, glory, glorify. He introduced it here. That's Isaiah 53, starting 52:13, 14, and Isaiah 53:2. And now he combines all three occurrences in Isaiah 53 right there. Okay, now this is really important. The Hebrew word for glorify in Isaiah 52:13 is gaveh. And it's translated with doxa, and that's exactly the word he's using here in Isaiah John 8:54. Okay? So he's now using it in order as presented in Isaiah 53. He's trying to hit him over the head with it. If I glorify, gaveh, doxa in the LXX of Isaiah 52:13. Then the next occurrence, glory, is used in Isaiah 52:14, doxa. And it's used the same words here. My glory is nothing. Yeah, because in Isaiah 52:14, he's treated as if his glory is nothing. That's what that verse says in the LXX. Okay? And then, it's my Father who glorifies me, of whom you say he is my God. The third occurrence is actually the noun doxa in the LXX of Isaiah 53:2. And in Isaiah 53:2, they're saying it's hadar in Hebrew. And it's saying that there's no, they don't see any glory. Okay? See, my glory is nothing because I'm regarded as if I'm a nothing. And then that he's regarded as if he's a nothing because it's ken mishchat. He's beaten up beyond any human semblance. Okay? So he doesn't look like he's got any glory there. But even before that, that's Isaiah 53:2. My Father glorifies me. Again, hearkening back to 52:13. But in 53:2, it's hadar means that it's not a glory that they respect. He doesn't show the glory that they would respect. In other words, the trappings and the money and the fame and the high-handedness and the hail fellow well met. All the garbage that Christians go in for today. All the Madison Avenue jerk, goofy stuff. Hi, please join our fellowship. We want you. We love you. Blah, 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 blah. All that fake garbage. When I hear somebody talk to me like that, I try to walk away as fast as possible because it's a big lie. Okay? The salesmanship. They want the glory that's salesmanship, like in Christianity today. All right? Judaism is no different. They try to glad hand you and be nice and blah, 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 blah. Okay? Father is glorifying him by him not being glorified in their eyes. And that's exactly what Isaiah 53:2 is leading up to. Okay, you have to go read the verse. Of whom you say he is our God. In other words, he's saying, Father is glorifying me, but you're not, and yet you call him your God? In other words, see, your Father isn't God. So, you're liars. And that's why he next says in Isaiah in John 8:55, you don't know him, but I know him. And he's been saying that, like from way back here, okay? Way back since verse 12. All right? I know where I come from. Father testifies about me. You don't know me or Father. See, he's been saying that all along. He's actually been saying it since John 6. Okay? And so here we are again. All the argument about fathering. Still in the Father section. Okay? And he's saying, Father glorifies me. You're not obviously of God because you're not doing the same thing. And therefore you don't know him. If I say I know him, I'll be a liar like you. But I do know him and I keep his word. Now he's going back to this part of Psalm 18. This is all on that same topic. Father's glorifying him. Father's rewarding me according to my righteousness. I have kept the ways. I have not departed. Only Messiah can claim this. All right? And he's talking to the crooked to save afflicted people but abase the haughty. In other words, this is sort of a summary statement of everything he's been saying right here. All right? God illumines, he girds, he's defending me. Okay, you're all defeated. And basically what he's doing, this is the counterpart. All right, this is how good God is to those who believe in him. They're not able to rise. You're my shield, the rock of my salvation, that they're trying to stone. Okay, they turn their backs. That's Isaiah 53:2. They cried for help, but he didn't answer them. Yeah, because every answer he gives them, they don't regard as being an answer. So I beat them as fine as dust before the wind. I emptied them out. You have delivered me from the contentions of people. You placed me as the head of the nations. A people who I have not known serve me. Now look at this. What's the next thing in the verse here? He closes the point on knowing, right, which he repeats over and over and over. And look at this. You all don't know. Remember what he said about Abraham before? Before I show the punchline. All right? I knew Abraham, everything Abraham did and everything Abraham didn't do. You got that. The next time he talks about his knowledge of Abraham is Abraham rejoiced to see Christ. In other words, they don't know him, yet Abraham rejoiced to see Christ. Okay? This is the flip side of that. He's claiming omniscience there. But he's also claiming that Abraham saw him. Okay? A people whom I have not known serve me. You have placed me head of the nations. I hope you're getting the play on this. He's still tracking to Psalm 18. Abraham, what was the promise to Abraham? The word Abraham means father of many nations. You got that? That's what it means in Hebrew. God changed his name to Avraham because he's going to be the father of many nations, basically the father of the whole human race. The promise. You have placed me as the head of nations, a people whom I have not known, serve me. The promise made to Abraham was made to Abraham when he had no kids. And when he finally did have kids, that kid he had named Isaac was sterile for like 60 years. All right? And then there were two fighting kids in the womb, and only one of them was going to become a believer. Abraham never saw his progeny. He saw Jacob and Esau until they were like in their teens. That was it. Yet he's the father of many nations. Because prophetically, he is seeing Christ. And it's Christ who is placed as the head of nations. You get that on the left-hand side, don't you? And the people who Abraham never knew, the future people, serve him. The people that Christ never met, because who I have not known means I have not met, okay? The people who Christ hasn't met until the cross serve him. He's equating himself as being present, as Abraham knowing and seeing him. And he's making a parallel to this side of Psalm 18 as head of the nations, because that's the very meaning of Abraham's name. Abraham saw my day. Abraham knew me. How come you don't? Abraham's the head of the nations. That's the promise. That was the promise to the Jews. Genesis 15. Genesis 12 and Genesis 17. Abraham rejoiced to see my day and was glad. So finally, the dummies get it. You're not 50 years old and you have seen Abraham? What was he telling them up here? Hello? Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. See. Do the deeds of Abraham, what Abraham did do and didn't do. I've called myself I am. I've said that I'm the light. I've said that God's word is my word. I've said that I'm side by side with Father. I've seen Father. I've talked to Father. I know Father. I came from heaven. How many ways do you want me to tell you I'm God? Okay? And it's not until he says this that they finally, oh, but you're not 50 years old. Now, I have to ask myself, how disingenuous are they being? Are they deliberately pretending to be stupid? Or they are just so bereft of even lies to try to stop his lesson from going through that they have to come up with this kind of baloney? You're not yet 50 years old and you've seen Abraham? The reason why they picked 50, it doesn't mean he was anywhere close to 50. They picked 50 because 50 is the age of retiring from temple. In other words, you haven't served your time as a teacher. You're not ready to retire. You're not even ready to retire. How could you see Abraham? There were two big dates in a Jew's life besides his marriage. When he's 20 and when he's 50. When you're 20, you're eligible for military service. When you're 50, you're eligible for retirement from temple. That's in the Mosaic law. So that's why they're using this. Okay, so now Jesus hits them, and of course you've already seen the videos I've done on that. Before Abraham was born, I am. There's no I was born. It's before Abraham became Abraham. And I cover that in the Word doc. Therefore they pick up stones to throw at him. See, the chapter ends that it began. They want to throw stones at the rock of their salvation. All right? So, a people who I have not known serve me. Yeah, because Abraham saw it in advance. He was the head of nations by promise. Christ is the head of the nations fulfilling that promise. And the people who I have not known serve me, as Isaiah 52:14. 15. I'm sorry, Isaiah 52:15. That's us. As soon as they hear, they obey. That's also Isaiah 52:15. The word hear and obey, and foreigners. Submission. Okay? Foreigners fade away and come trembling out of their fortresses. That's also inherent in Isaiah 52:15, but it's also in Isaiah 53:12. See, he's tying Psalm 18 to Isaiah 53. And he's tying it here. He led them. They didn't know what hit them. The Lord lives. Yeah, blessed be my rock that they now want a stone. Exalted be the God of my salvation. Exalted megaluno. I think that's megaluno. Let's make sure. Megaluno means to multiply. You exalt or magnify by means of multiplying sons. It's got a very specific usage. And it's used in the Magnificat of Luke 1, 26 or 46? Luke 1:46, and it's also used by Paul in Philippians 1:20. Let's see, is that upsa'o? It's even stronger. I'm sorry, it's not megaluno, it's a upsa'o. Upsa'o is used in the LXX of Isaiah 52:13. So he's still referring to 52:13 there. That's used to translate Nisa in Hebrew. You see how pointed this is? I mean, that was the objective of these long videos. My videos are always long because there are always so much to explain. Okay? Exalted. This is talking about Isaiah 52:13 in the LXX using their own terminology. All right? And the Jews are going to miss out on this. God who executes vengeance for me and subdues people under me. Yep. They don't know him. That's the worst kind of subduing you can get. To be ignorant of God. And all your life, these people were really religious. They lived their whole life telling themselves how great they were and how much they were serving God. And they don't even know him. Okay? He has to tell them that Abraham, the head of the nations, he is going to fulfill the very purpose of Abraham's name, which is, of course, what this says right here. And then this is all tied to Isaiah 52:13, 14, and 15. Okay, there's a prophecy of the Gentiles. Okay? He delivers me from my enemies. You lift me above. Lift me above is also a reference to, it said lift up the Son of Man. That's also a reference to Isaiah 52:13. And then rise up, it's got a lot of connotations, but see, they're rising up against him. You see, he's tracking Psalm 18 to warn them. They are behaving exactly. See, you rescue me from the violent man, that's Isaiah 53:7. It's also tying in Psalm 40. It's also tying in Psalm 22. See how deft this is? Isn't it shocking? Therefore I will give thanks to you among the nations. See, this is the Gentile promise, Isaiah 52:15. This whole thing is weaving that in. And I will sing praises to your name. Meanwhile, the sons are the slaves, and they don't even know Father. He gives great deliverance to his king, King of kings, Lord of lords, cornerstone. And this is chesed, means it's translated loving kindness, but it's really much stronger than that, and I don't even know how to translate it properly. Salvation. Any translation I've ever come up with for chesed just doesn't cut it. Okay, he gives great deliverance to his king, Christ the King, loving kindness to his anointed. This showing loving kindness is a refrain in David. To David and his descendants, you get this? David and his descendants forever. All that is being encompassed here. And see, you can't see that really well in English. You have to know what Avraham means. This is a promise to the Gentiles too. All right? Ding, 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 ding. All that is in verse 56. Is referencing the left-hand side. All that being referenced on the left-hand side. So they come up with their phony objection again, and then he just hits him. It's like, sometimes when people are so stupid, the only thing you can do is smack them. You can't do timeout. You can't be nice. In fact, if you're nice to nasty people, what happens is they take that as a sign of weakness and they just bully you more. You have to learn that lesson real early on. You cannot be nice to certain people. You have to figure out when that is. Okay? So he smacks him right upside the head. Before Abraham became, I am. Now he's citing Exodus 3:14, and that's what I showed in episode 3Q of this series on LXX. Therefore, the rock of their salvation, they want to throw stones at the rock of their salvation, but, and the word here is not hid himself. Gotta show that. Okay, this special word. He went out of the temple. That's going out. That's exarchomai. Remember when we saw it before? Proceed forth. This is krupto. Krupto is used back here in the LXX of this. Okay. Darkness was trying to create hiding places to surround God. The darkness of waters, that's doctrines. The darkness of fake witnesses. Alright? Hiding, masater. That's also used in Hebrew for the hiding place, the refuge. Okay, you're getting that word play. Greek word is krupto, means to conceal something. To put, like if you had treasure you wanted to bury so nobody could find it. You're concealing it. Alright? This analogy here, again, this is the whole theme of what he's saying to them. Darkness is making, not his, but a hiding place against him. This should be against him. Alright, it's taking the genitive because it's saying what's trying to be hidden. Alright? And then this isn't a canopy, this is a surrounding. Like you're surrounded by troops, darkness of false doctrine, darkness of false witnesses. Okay? They're trying to hide God. So what does God, Christ, as God, do? He's suddenly invisible to them. But it's not just him. This is what's so awesome about this passage. It's not he hid himself. He's suddenly hidden from their view. But it's not just him. Look. He passed by man blind from birth. You get the parallel? Suddenly, they're blind to him, so they suddenly can't see him. But it's not only him they can't see. Look, his disciples asked him. When he's passing by, he's with his disciples. So, suddenly they can't see him or his disciples physically. And instead, somebody who can't see physically, he heals who was blind from birth. You get that parallel? See, that's why this verse is in the right place too. They pick up stones, but they can't see him suddenly. They're blind. Suddenly, as far as they're concerned, there's this darkness hiding Jesus. Right. Yeah, because they've been trying to make darkness to hide him all this time, and all they managed to do is to make him be hidden from them when they want to stone him. Now, he probably did do a miracle of some kind, because how are you going to take 70 disciples? He had a crowd of them. He didn't just have the 12 walking with him in the temple. And they all suddenly disappear in order to heal a man blind from birth? All he did was walk by them to another part of the temple. You get that? And that's where it ends. Alright? He sounded his arrows, scattered them, routed them. Okay? And that's how it ends here. Therefore I will give thanks to you among the nations and sing praises to your name for the deliverance. And that's all represented on the right-hand side. So that's Bible fingerprinting, because as you've hopefully noticed, if you're not too tired to, if you're not totally exhausted by now, every single verse on the left-hand side of Psalm 18 is referenced in the same order in John 8. That's Bible fingerprinting. And now that you see the technique, you can look at other Bible passages that maybe trouble you and figure out how to do that. The way we did it was you take your target passage, the one that you're trying to understand. Okay, whoops, which here is John 8. You're trying to understand it in its own internal sense. And then you start looking for keywords like adultery, the law, okay, sin, throw the stone, okay. You look for those keywords, and then you go here, like this last search I was searching on David and his descendants. You search to find the keywords that are in this target passage elsewhere in the Bible. And then you look to see if the order in which that presentation occurs tracks to some large body of Old Testament text. Chances are in certain passages it will. A lot of times it won't. A lot of times the Bible will use just one word to reference a whole bunch of verses. Alright? Like, I am the light. I am the light of the world. Well, look. Let's just search on it. There's 39 verses to cover it. And that's where we're going to end up. See? Light of the world, 39 verses. And then you go through each of those verses to see if their track record of keywords follows the target passage. And that's how you do Bible fingerprinting. I hope this helps. Sorry it was so long.